Adam stood frozen in the grand hall of the Zephyrian royal palace, acutely aware that 200 pairs of alien eyes were fixed upon him. The crystalline walls refracted the light of 3 suns into prismatic patterns that danced across the assembled courtiers, each one draped in the bioluminescent robes that marked their status in the empire. He was human, he was alone, and he had just made the worst diplomatic mistake of his career. Ambassador Chen, the translator device whispered in his ear, converting the queen's clicking mandibles into words he could understand. You presume much by addressing my daughter directly without formal introduction. Adam's heart hammered against his ribs. 3 months of careful negotiation, humanity's first contact with the Zephyrian Empire, and he'd broken protocol by simply greeting the young princess who had been staring at him with those enormous golden eyes throughout the ceremony. Before he could formulate an apology, a small figure broke free from the royal dais. Princess Elsa, though her true name was a series of harmonic frequencies no human throat could produce, moved with the fluid grace of her species. She was young by Zephyrian standards, perhaps equivalent to a human child of 8 or 9, though her kind aged differently. Her carapace still held the soft purple iridescence of youth, and her 6 limbs carried her forward with surprising speed. The entire palace went silent when the alien queen's daughter ran over and hugged him. Adam felt her small arms, the upper 2 of her 6 limbs, wrap around his waist with surprising strength. The lower limbs braced against the polished floor, and her head, crowned with delicate crystalline antennae, pressed against his chest. Through his diplomatic suit, he could feel the rapid vibration of her thorax, the Zephyrian equivalent of a heartbeat. Elsa, no. The queen's voice cracked like thunder through the hall, but she switched to her native tongue, a cascading series of clicks and harmonics that Adam's translator struggled to parse. But Elsa didn't let go. Instead, she looked up at him, and Adam saw something in those golden eyes that transcended species: gratitude. The memory flooded back. 3 days ago, during the preliminary tour of the palace gardens, Adam had been walking alone when he'd heard a distressed chirping from one of the bioluminescent pools. Without thinking, he'd plunged his hand into the viscous liquid and pulled out a struggling Zephyrian youth who'd ventured too deep. He'd recognized her as royalty from her distinctive markings, but hadn't realized she was the crown princess herself. She'd scrambled away before he could even confirm she was unharmed, and he'd thought nothing more of it. The incident had gone unreported. His security detail hadn't even noticed. But Elsa had remembered. You saved me, she clicked softly, her translator finally engaging. When the biopool would have consumed me, you didn't hesitate. You didn't ask permission. You didn't calculate political advantage. You just helped. The queen descended from her throne, her massive form casting long shadows across the hall. At full height, she stood nearly 3 meters tall, her royal carapace gleaming with age and wisdom. The assembled court parted like water before her. Adam tried to step back, but Elsa's grip tightened. Please don't leave, she whispered. Ambassador Chen. The queen's voice was cold, measured. She circled him slowly, her compound eyes examining every detail. Adam could feel sweat beading on his forehead. One wrong move, one misinterpreted gesture, and Earth's hopes of joining the galactic community could shatter. Then the queen did something unexpected. She knelt. A collective gasp rippled through the hall. In Zephyrian culture, the monarch never lowered herself before anyone. It was simply not done. You saved my daughter's life, the queen said, and for the first time Adam heard emotion in her mechanical-sounding voice. The biopools are sacred, but they are also dangerous. Elsa was forbidden from approaching them alone, but she is young and curious. The queen's antennae drooped slightly. I did not know. She was too ashamed to tell me of her near death, too afraid of punishment. I didn't know she was the princess, Adam said honestly. I just saw someone in trouble. Precisely. The queen rose, and something had changed in her bearing. For 3 months, we have negotiated with your species. We have analyzed your history, your wars, your capacity for both creation and destruction. We have debated whether humanity deserves a place among the star-faring peoples. She gestured around the hall. My advisors have counseled caution. They point to your violent past, your tribal divisions, your youth as a species. They say you are not ready, that you are dangerous. Adam's stomach sank. This was it, humanity's rejection. But the queen continued, "Yet here stands a human who saved my child without thought of reward or recognition, who violated no laws, for you did not know she was there, who sought no political gain, who simply acted because it was right." Elsa finally released Adam and moved to stand beside her mother. Despite the size difference, the family resemblance was clear in their posture, in the angle of their antennae. The philosopher Krasthu wrote that you can judge a species not by their laws or their weapons, but by what they do when no one is watching. The queen's mandibles clicked in what Adam's cultural training recognized as satisfaction. You have passed a test you did not know you were taking, Ambassador Chen. She turned to address the assembled court. Let it be known that humanity is hereby granted provisional membership in the Zephyrian Alliance. They will have access to our trade routes, our knowledge banks, and our protection. And let it also be known that Ambassador Adam Chen is named blood friend to the royal house, a title that has not been bestowed upon an outsider in 400 cycles. The hall erupted in harmonic chanting, the Zephyrian equivalent of applause. Adam stood stunned, processing what had just happened. Elsa tugged on his sleeve. "Does this mean you'll visit more often?" she asked, her young voice hopeful. "Mother says I need to learn about other species, and I want to learn about humans, about Earth, about why you helped me." Adam knelt down to her level, meeting those golden eyes. "I helped you because every child deserves to be safe, Elsa, whether they're human or Zephyrian or anything else. That's not complicated." "But it is," Elsa insisted, her antennae twitching with excitement. "My tutors say most species wouldn't risk contamination with biopool essence to save a stranger. That self-preservation is the first law of sentient behavior." "Then maybe," Adam said gently, "humans are a little different." The queen placed a massive hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Perhaps that is precisely what the galaxy needs, daughter, a little difference, a little humanity." As Adam was led away by royal attendants to begin the formal treaty ceremonies, he caught one last glimpse of Elsa waving at him with all 4 of her upper limbs, her bioluminescent markings pulsing with joy. He'd come to the Zephyrian homeworld as Earth's representative, carrying the hopes of billions. He'd studied their culture for years, memorized every protocol, prepared for every contingency. But in the end, it wasn't diplomacy that had opened the stars to humanity. It wasn't negotiation or strategy or carefully crafted treaties. It was a simple act of kindness when no one was watching. And as Adam looked up through the crystal dome at the unfamiliar constellations overhead, stars that humanity would now have the freedom to explore, he allowed himself a small smile. Sometimes, the most human thing you could do was exactly what the galaxy needed.